Okay, I am doing work on my 1999 Chevrolet Silverado. Okay, the truck is in pretty good shape. This is a extended cab, two-wheel drive, you know, wimpy pickup truck. But they seem to all have the same issue with this cross member that goes over the fuel tank. So, in order to work on this, we had to lift the bed off the truck. Okay, so there's the bed. I rigged up a hoist system to hoist the bed off. It wasn't that heavy, but the problem is you have to lift it pretty high. You have to get it up about 20 inches to get it up and over the tires, to get that part of the fender, up and over the tire. You have to lift it pretty high, so that's tough to do. If you were capable, I mean, two guys could do it, but it's tough to lift it up over the tire. So I opted to do it this way. I backed the truck in there, lifted it up with the hoist, loosened the 8 bolts underneath. You can see the mounting holes right there along the frame rail, 2 in the back, 2 in the front on both sides. The electrical connectors for the tail lights, there's a blue connector and a white connector. You can trace them. You can see where they go. They connect on a block in the back of on the actual bed of the truck. There's a block in the back, right close to the bumper area, and you just unplug them. Very simple. The gas tank, of course, has the 2 straps that hold it up. Those would be fastened to that bracket, which is part of that cross member that we're replacing, and that bracket up in there, which is part of the front cross member right behind the cab. Okay, so remove those 2 bolts. I removed the whole filler neck itself from the side of the truck. I just unbolted the whole business and just dropped it with the tank, and then once the tank was dropped far enough and the bed was off and all that stuff, and I just opted to remove it from the tank just to make it easier to put it back together. It has that long piece of hose that goes down into the fuel tank for whatever reason. So there's your connectors for the fuel lines. Right there, those 2 are the main ones. He has some vapors also, but the main ones are there. You squeeze the white plastic together and pull them apart. You want to depressurize the fuel system before you do that. There is a Schrader valve up on the fuel rail on your EFI. You'll see it there. It's just a regular old Schrader valve like you would have on a tire. You just take the cap off, have a rag with you, press the Schrader valve in, and depressurize the fuel system. Okay. I've seen a lot of guys opt to just repair their cross member. I've opted to replace the whole thing. So I've cut the whole thing out. I have it laying over here on the floor. I'm going to put shocks on. You can see the old stock shocks, the old straps from the gas tank. Here's the cross member piece right there that I've cut out. That's the bad section. I started off with that, and I just decided I'm going to get the whole business and cut the whole thing out. So there it is. Here's the first piece that I've gotten out of the frame. That's probably the toughest part of the job, is getting this metal out of the frame. It was in there at one time. You have to cut with a sawzall. Cut as close as you can to the frame with a sawzall on either side of the frame. I've opted to keep this gas tank bracket here. It's pretty beefy, so there's a piece of pipe that was in there as well. Piece of pipe goes across there, so you have to cut it flush here, cut it flush here, then work on this, work on the welds out here, and get that piece out of there, and then grind this down. And you want to work on the welds on these areas. And then I just simply took a crappy Harbor Freight chisel with a good cutting bit on it like that. This thing goes through like nothing. It's amazing. And just get inside here once you have it all flush, and just get in here and just work your way all the way around and break that pipe free. Do that on both sides and you'll get it out of there. I ended up going, once I had it broken free, I ended up cutting straight across. That way it had a crack down the center of it, and I could, you know, get a pry bar in there and just worked on it until it came out. That's what I did today. That probably took about 2 hours to get that piece of metal out of there. So, you know, I'm no expert, but I got it. Okay. I'm gonna be replacing shock absorbers, like I said, brake lines. While I have this all apart, I'm gonna be putting stainless steel brake lines on. I covered the tires up because I'm going to be doing some descaling here. I'm going to get an air nibbler from Harbor Freight, and I've got some grinders with some stocky wire wheels on them, grinders, you know, and just going to go at it here. I opted to buy this POR 15, and I'm going to be putting that on everything once everything's clean. Not sure if I'm going to brush it on or spray it on yet. And that's pretty much it. Crossmember is supposed to be in this week. Ordered it on Amazon, about $2.50 for that, so should be in this week. This is the other side that I have to work on yet, getting that piece of metal out of the frame. You can see what it looks like beforehand. So there it is, the piece of metal still in there. I cut it as close as I could on this side, and then I cut it as close as I could on that side, and then I just use a metal burr on a die grinder and just grind that as good as I can to get all that weld off on both sides. And then I just use a regular, you know, 5 or 6 inch wheel grinder and just grind it all smooth. And then get in there with the air chisel and just go all the way around this way and on the other side, and it breaks free. You can get it out of there, and then you can put your nice brand new piece all the way across, and you can weld that in there and put your you know, shock absorbers back on, your hanger for your exhaust, and it'll be a nice job. It all depends what you're doing. You know, if you're only going to keep it a year or so, well, maybe it's not worth doing this, but I plan on keeping this for a while. It's only got 150,000 on it, so they generally last pretty long. So, like I said, the truck's in great shape. I mean, for a 99, I mean, I've done some rust repair in the past, but everything's in nice shape on it, so I'm going to do the work. All right. I'll update you when I get some parts in.